Now, in my last video, I discussed up to selection. Okay. Now, when we have discussed up to selection, I told you if you see the last step of selection, the last step of selection is called as induction. Okay, and I told you that induction is the last step of selection procedure and the first training given to the new joinees of the organization. See here, I have mentioned it. Okay, induction. Okay, now first of all, before starting this types of training, let us first discuss about what is training. See, training is a systematic program. It's a very systematic program organized by the HR department. It's a systematic program of the organization which aims at increasing the aptitude, skill and ability of the worker to perform specific jobs. See, this particular words are very important. Specific jobs. Training is basically imparted to the new joinees as well as to the existing employee of the organization to enhance their knowledge and skill on some particular ground, okay, on some particular fields, okay, so that they can be more knowledgeable, okay, and they can deal with all this task very easily. Okay, so this is actually given on few particular grounds, okay, to enhance their knowledge and skill. Come to next the term development. What is development? Development is a systematic and continuous process which brings an overall growth of the managerial people. Now, through development, the overall growth of managerial people is possible. Suppose you are working in an organization and from that organization you have been given the chance of doing MBA or MTech. This is not considered to be a part of training. This is considered to be development program, because through this development program the overall growth of an employee is possible. Okay, so this is the difference between, this is the basic difference you can say between training and development. Other differences are given in my notes, please go through that. Now come to the next part, that is what is the meaning of, or sorry, what are the types or methods of training followed in different organizations. First is what? Induction training or orientation training. Okay, so what is induction training? Induction training is the first training given to the new joinees of the organization. This training should be conducted immediately on joining. Okay, and it should be, that means here in this particular training they should be given with the required information. Okay, this training is very much necessary to boost up the confidence of the employee who are joining new to the organization. Okay, and this actually present a good image to the employee about the organization, and this is also promote a sense of belonging. Okay, so this is a very short training and very very interactive one. In this particular training you have been given information regarding the organization history, regarding the products of the organization structure, the location of the organization, about the branches actually, then the policy, HR policies, okay, rules and regulation of the organization, then grievance handling procedures, safety measures. Okay, so all these kind of informations are given to this first training called as induction training, and this is very much necessary because in this training you will be given information that holding a particular designation, what you have to perform, what are the duties and responsibility of a particular designation. Okay, so unless and until you know what you have to do in the organization holding a particular designation, you cannot perform well. So in this training, in the first training, this induction training or this orientation training, or this is also called as introduction training, in this training only you have been given all this information along with what are the activities you need to do, or what are the what you have to perform holding a particular designation in an organization. Now the next training is a refresher training. Now refresher training is for the existing employee of the organization. when we work somewhere, we always need some growth. Okay, now in order to enhance the knowledge and skill of the employee of the organization, this particular training is very important, called as refresher training or refresher courses. Now if you think of 30 years back, okay, or 35 years back, like this, in banking sector or financial sector, or if you think of railways, at that time everything was manual. When that means our parents, they used to go for updation of their passbook. In banks, they used to maintain a big book called as the ledger book, and in that ledger book they used to write everything manually. All the account balances of their customer, they used to write manually, including the debit credit part. Now when we were going for updation of our passbook, they used to open that particular big book called as ledger book, and accordingly they told us the balances, account balances. Okay, similarly, if you think of railways, at that time there was manual tickets. Okay, date and times, they used to punch the date and times and give it to the passengers. Now today's scenario is completely different. Now computer is a mandatory thing in almost every sector. Then because of introduction of this computer in railway and banking sector, whether these companies, the banking companies and the railway, whether they have discarded all the old employee and taken a fresh lot with computer knowledge? Definitely not. What they did, they have given this refresher training or refresher courses to their employee to make them aware how to handle computer in their actual work field. And now they can handle computer very efficiently in their work field. Okay, so this is possible because of this refresher training or refresher courses. So this particular training actually helps the employee to know the technological changes which are going on in the outside world, and this is also helping the employee know about the new techniques. Okay, and this they enhance the knowledge and skill of the employee, and this also meets the need of diversification in the industry and also make them eligible for promotion. Now come to the next one. Next one is called as on the job training. This on the job training is for the new employee as well as for the existing employee of the organization. Now under this training process, the employees are kept under the direct supervision of the superior, like the supervisors or managers. That manager or that supervisor will guide how to handle different machineries, equipment, tools of different industry, and also how to handle the materials of different industry, because different materials are having different strength, and they are asked to comply with the job within the stipulated time. So while doing the work within time, if they face any kind of difficulty, they can consult with the supervisor or the manager, and the manager will guide them accordingly. Once this kind of training are over, and that trainees become skilled and can do their job independently after some time. Okay, this is on the job training. Next comes apprenticeship training. Apprenticeship training tends more towards education rather than merely giving vocational training to the trainees. Now this is a combination of on the job training along with some classroom programs, and giving more emphasis on giving education to the trainees, okay, rather than giving only the training part. One proverb is here very much suitable, that is earning while learning. Means the trainee, they are earning money, at the same time they are learning as well. Okay, so this particular training is mostly desirable in some industrial unit where there is a constant flow of new employees required. Okay, and this is very much prevalent in the areas like construction industry, then for mechanics, for electricians, for welders. Okay, so this particular training, this apprenticeship training is very important. Nowadays government also, that means our central government and state government, they are also taking initiative to give this apprenticeship training to the different kind of backward people as well as for the people in the rural and urban areas. Okay, next comes internship training. See, this internship training is basically giving the training to the professionals. Okay, now this is very much prevalent for MBBS students. Okay, once they complete their MBBS course, they are been sent to different hospital to do their internship, not only in MBBS but also for lawyers. This is very much prevalent for hotel industry, for hospital, that means hospital industry, for hospitality management. Okay, this is very much prevalent. Now this is in this method, vocational or professional institute, they enter into agreement with big enterprises or big business business organization for providing practical knowledge to their student. Okay, so in this training, theoretical knowledge is backed by practical experience of job. Okay, and for engineers also, they also given this kind of internship programs, and they are doing this internship program, but mostly prevalent in medical sector, also for lawyers, in hotel management, hospital management, hospitality management. The period of this internship may vary from 6 months up to 2 years, and if the organization found that these trainees are suitable for the organization, they can offer them suitable job and absorb them. Next training is position rotation training. Under this training, the organization is not giving any separate training to their employee. Instead of that, the company is only rotating the position of their employee from one department to another department. Once they are equipped in the job of a particular department, they will be switched to another department for gathering knowledge and experience. Now, for example, I am giving the example of banking sector. When a fresher join a bank, generally they will be given the position of front desk officer. After gathering 6 months experience as front desk officer, who are dealing with customer initial query, that person may be shifted to cash department to handle cash deposit and cash withdrawal. After gathering 1 year experience in cash department, that person may be shifted to loan department to handle personal loan, car loan, house building loan, etc. Once that person gather experience in loan department for say next 1 year, that person may be shifted to card department to handle debit card, credit card, Master, Visa, MasterCard, etc. If you see that employee after 5 years, now that employee is almost master in every field of banking industry. And how it is possible? Because of position rotation. Okay, so here the company is not expending any money for giving separate training to their employee. Only they are doing what? They are rotating the position of the employee from one department to another once they are experienced in a particular department. Okay, next comes to vestibule training. In case of this training, this is actually happens in the big organization. Okay, now in many big organization, they have a separate training center for giving training to their new employee. This training department is under the control and supervision of the HRD department only, that means human resource department only. All the necessary machine, equipments and materials are kept in this center, in this particular training center, to give a look like actual workshop. Okay, after completion of training in this training center only, employees are deputed to their actual work field. Okay, so this is not happening in every organization. This is only possible in big company who are having separate training center, separate setup of training center. Okay, so this is all about the methods and types of training. Now next I will start discussion on the next part, that is the steps of training. Steps of training starts with identification of training needs. Now, this identification of training needs is what? That means the HR department used to see what type of training are actually required by their by the organization or by that particular unit. Now, there may be centralized need, there may be decentralized need. If the problem, that means if the training needs lies with a particular department and that department only needs a training called as centralized need of training. If the problem or the need of training lies with different people of different department, this is called as decentralized need of training. Okay, that means here problems are in various forms, okay, which cannot be resolved by giving a single training program. So when the needs of training is centralized, and that means this is only with a single department of the organization, this can be easily solved by giving a single training program. But if the needs of training is decentralized, means lies with different people of different department, it cannot be possible to solve it by giving a single training program. Then that means the HR department may think of giving multiple training programs to different employees of the organization. So this is called as identification of training needs. Means they need to see whether the needs of training is centralized or decentralized. Next comes designing a training course. This designing a training course will be done according to the needs of training. Now, when the HR department, they are designing a training course, they have to keep in mind few things. First one is course content, very important. Course content, then hands out, then supporting material, then delivery method, then timetable, then the place of training, and lastly the simulation of working conditions. So first one, course content is a very important one, because if you see the contents of a book, suppose we have gone for purchasing a book, and the first thing we will see in books is the content, and we used to match it whether this particular book's content is actually going with our syllabus or not. Okay, that means by looking at the contents only we can have an idea whether this book is useful for us or not. Similarly, this course, that means when the company is designing a training course, first and foremost thing they have to keep in mind the course content. Means then the course content must be very clearly mentioned, that what are the things going to happen in this particular training program. Okay, and this must be depending on the objectives and goals of the training program. Okay, so training this course content must be well defined for any kind of training. Next, hands out. Hands out may be made available to their participant well before starting the training course, so that they can avoid taking notes and pay attention on the presentation part, okay, while the training is actually going on. Next is what? Support material. See, support material of training includes study notes, maybe case studies, maybe pamphlet, maybe charts, maybe brochures, okay, maybe manuals, maybe slides, etc. Suppose if the training is for any sales activity, okay, that can be shown, that means this development of sales can be shown with the help of bar charts, pie charts, etc. Okay, so these are called as the supporting materials, okay, which should be available, okay, for the training program. Next comes delivery method. The most commonly used delivery methods are lectures, group discussion, case studies, questionnaires, role playing, demonstration kind of, then in-tray exercises, then films and video, etc. Okay, so choice of method actually depends on the topics that means the training program going to cover. Okay, and the time available for the training program and the facilities are available. Okay, so accordingly that means the delivery methods are being chosen by the trainers. Okay, and also very much important, the background of the trainees. Okay, if the like if it is for worker, so definitely all this like group discussion and all will not be a fruitful method. Okay, so accordingly they used to choose the delivery method. Okay, so these are the things they have to keep in mind, like the group size, the time availability, the facility available, and the background of the trainees they have to keep in mind for deciding the delivery methods for training programs. Okay, so if it is for introduction of any new machinery or new apparatus, maybe demonstration kind of training is very much fruitful. Okay, so these things are that means the trainer have to keep in mind. Next one is timetable. Okay, that means the sequence of the session and the amount of time allotted to each session must be planned beforehand, and this timetable must be given to the trainees before starting the training program. Next come place. Place of training is very important. See, the place of training for the junior level employee may be anywhere. Okay, but for the senior level people who are having signatory authority, for them place of training is very vital. For them place of training must be nearer to their workplace, so that in case of need they can be asked to come to the office and say it. I'm just giving you one example. Say there is a check of salary, and that to be signed by the that means HR head, and that HR head has gone for training in say in some Chennai or somewhere else. Okay, now so unless until that person come back, signature will not be done, and disbursement of salary is also not possible. So for those person who are having signatory authority, for them place of training is very vital, and it should be nearer to the workplace, so that in case of emergency they can be called up and they can come and solve the situation and again go back to the training place. Next one is simulation of working condition. That means the working condition should be simulated along with the learning process to make the training program more effective. That means it should be very much linked with the actual work field. Okay, so these are the things that means the HR department has to keep in mind while designing a training course. Next comes what? Course delivery and program presentation. This is now actual action taking phase. Okay, now the that means the trainer they need to actually deliver their lecture. Okay, course delivery or program presentation actually is a action taking phase. Here the trainers they are conveying their demonstration or explain the new knowledge, new ideas. Okay, and that means, and another thing that means while they are delivering all these things to the trainees, they have to keep in mind the instruction should be very much clear. Whatever they are explaining, that should be very much to the point and specific, should not be very much like very elaborate. Okay, key points should be stretched. Okay, and one point should be explained properly. Okay, and most importantly, audio visual aids are very much helpful for giving training programs. And if the trainees have any question in their mind, any doubts in their mind, that to be immediately solved by the trainer. Okay, so these things they have to keep in mind in this course delivery and program presentation stage. Next one is performance tryout. See, just before starting with this, I have done with the methods of training, and the last method was vestibule training. Okay, so in this vestibule training, I told you there will be a separate setup. See this vestibule training, so there will be a separate setup of training center. So this particular step is possible in case of vestibule training only. This performance tryout phase. Performance tryout means here the once they gather the theoretical knowledge in the training, during the training program, they are asked to try it out practically in that particular training center or workshop setup. Okay, so while doing it practically, if they face any kind of problem, they can immediately consult with the trainer and resolve their queries. Okay, so this is only, this performance tryout phase is not always there in every training. This is only possible in case of vestibule training. Okay, next comes evaluation. Since this evaluation is that is a process which happens at the end of every training program. Okay, so this evaluation is what, how effective this training is. Okay, the HR department, they need to see the effectiveness or this efficiency of the training program. So different department, they are that means different company, they are adopting different process, okay, for measuring the effectiveness of the training program. First one is sometimes they are taking one test of the employee before the training and another test after the training program, in order to see the difference. Okay, how much knowledge they have acquired during this training program. Another process is they used to take feedback from the trainees, okay, about the trainer, about the whole training procedure and all. Thirdly, they used to observe those trainees in their actual work field, and they can also measure the efficiency or effectiveness of the training program. Okay, so these are different methods adopted by different companies to evaluate a particular training program. So this is all about training.